Back there, yeah.
When you're playing an open like arena gig or out at a festival, do you have to adapt your playing technique to compensate for the lack of response and no sort of real ambience? Because when you're in a nice acoustically treated room, the kit sounds great. But if you're playing a festival, suddenly it's dead. How do you get around that?
Well, there are a lot of situations when you get in where the drums don't sound like they do in a small place, whether it's a festival or wherever. It's frustrating. The biggest frustration is the kick drum, because I can hear a snare drum. And the next tom's so, but the kick drum, it's like, man, if you don't like, for me, you know what I do in festivals and big places? I have a thumper, you know, on my stool. Then I got subs. Then I wear in-ears with a trigger and the kick drum from the microphone. So I have 4 sources of kick drum. Still, it's never quite the same as being in a small venue. I know what you mean, because then the drum set's all around you. When you get in a situation like that, it's just frustrating. There's no answer, I just deal with it. I realize, be careful that you don't start I've done that, get really pissed off and I start playing harder and harder, so, because I'm really frustrated, so I can hear my drums, and all you end up doing is like messing up your own groove, you know. You know, I mean, especially if you're in a band that is not the primary act, you're the opening act or something, you don't get quite the treatment, they don't have the side fill, the monitor's as good as it could be. You just deal with it. Just think about how it should sound and just get through it. It's frustrating as hell. I know what you mean.
And so I was just going to say one more question I was really wanting to ask is, how do you find inspiration in the studio? Like, basically, with your in-ear monitoring, how do you mix that so that you get more inspiration to play? Because it's quite hard when you're recording, you've got to go, right, okay, you got to play it best, and you can't necessarily just snap into that.
Yeah, for me, I can only speak about myself. When that red light comes on, I feel like I'm an ultimate fighter. It's like, holy shit, you're going to try to keep this take. I got to fight for I got to sound amazing. You know, what if they decide to keep that take for the rest of my life? I have to live with that. So I get real, even today, it's not, I'm like, here we go. Whoa, it's like it's starting a race or something. I get very, I gotta, like everybody in the world is watching me. That motivates me. Maybe that, I guess we call that fear. No. I don't know what it is. It's excitement. I have confidence because I know that I've done it so many times, I can do it, but I'm glad I still have that kind of, maybe it is fear, that you don't want to mess up, you want to do a great job. That motivates me to, you know, get ready, you know. And, because, you know, I've done stuff where, like, I record with guys that like that first take, and I know they're going to go for it. Even if I make a mistake, they're going to keep it. So I'm like, oh. So what I do is I write everything, I get the chart written out right, so I know I can get from beginning to end. And it's true. There's a point where, like, the first take is good, but the third take gets better because also you get more inspired, you know. What I do is, like, if I'm recording, is this with a live band or are you talking with tapes?
No, I'm talking with a live band, but more so sort of like when you're listening to the band in your monitors, do you sort of like focus mostly on the click, or would you sort of just take the band out and just focus on the click?
I always make sure I hear the click. If anybody you're playing with is playing out of time, get rid of them in the mix. Get them out of there. Especially if you're playing with a click, the advantage of playing with a click is we're recording in Pro Tools, they can edit, or even with tape, you're editing between takes, you play with a click. You have to play with a click. Now, if you and the band have discussed, well, we don't want, the click is just a guide, we want to kind of just be loose around it, that's fine, but explain to them, if we loosen around the click, it could possibly make it difficult to edit between takes. You know what I'm saying? What I usually do is I usually put in my mix the thing that inspires me the most. But the click is the number one thing, because if you're gonna have to, if they want you to be with the click, that's got to be the most important thing. And then if I play, like when I did that Puddle of Mud song, if I'm playing with somebody and the band's not there, man, I have to create. I have to make believe we're live in a stadium somewhere. You know, I have to do that myself. I have to motivate myself and say, this is, you have to imagine like an actor. I mean, a lot of actors act and the other person isn't even there. They have to be these great scenes. You have to dig deep and create that yourself. Imagine yourself playing with the band of your dream, you know, the favorite band, anything, whatever it takes to motivate you. Think about that. You know what I'm saying? You have to do that yourself. It's a skill. But the click, I always make sure I'm playing